Live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ministry of External Affairs issues fresh advisory for Indian National Summit unrest, strongly advises to avoid travel to Iran. INSV Kaundinya docks in Muscat as it completes its journey from Gujarat's Porbandar to Oman. PM Modi participates in Pongal celebrations in Delhi, says the festival strengthens the spirit of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, also extends greetings on Makar Sankranti, Uttarayan and Magh Bihu. An Indian stalwart Virat Kohli storms to the top of ICC men's ODI batting rankings after more than 4 years, overtakes teammate Rohit Sharma to reclaim the throne. US President Donald Trump on Tuesday warned Iran that the United States would react strongly if authorities in Iran started hanging people in their crackdown on a popular uprising against the government. In an interview, Trump warned of unspecified very strong action if Iranian authorities go ahead with threatened hangings of some protesters. Meanwhile, the US-based human rights activist news agency said on Wednesday the death toll from protests in Iran has reached 2,571.
You're going to have to figure that one out, I'm sorry.
So many people have been killed in Iran.
Nobody's been able to give me an accurate number. I have heard numbers from, everything's a lot, one is a lot. But I've heard numbers much lower and I've heard numbers much higher. We'll be knowing, we're probably going to find out over the next 24 hours. I think it's a lot.
Meanwhile, Iran accused the United States of trying to create a justification for military intervention a day after US President Donald Trump warned of strong action in response to a deadly crackdown on widespread protest in the country. In view of the ongoing developments in Iran, India's Ministry of External Affairs issued an advisory calling upon Indian nationals to avoid travel to the Islamic Republic of Iran until further notice. Detailed advisory further states that in continuation of advisory issued by Government of India on 5th January and in view of the evolving situation in Iran, Indian nationals who are currently in Iran, students, pilgrims and tourists are advised to leave Iran by available means of transport, including commercial flights. It is reiterated that all Indian citizens and PIOs should exercise due caution, avoid areas of protest or demonstrations, stay in contact with the Indian Embassy in Iran and monitor local media for any developments. The emergency contact helplines of the Indian Embassy are provided below, which are mobile numbers that are +9891 2810 9115, +9891 2810 9109, +9891 2810 9102, +9899 321 79359. An email address has also been mentioned, cons.tehran@mea.gov.in. The Danish and Greenlandic foreign ministers plan to tell Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio during a White House meeting on Wednesday that Greenland is not for sale and will remain under Danish governance. The meeting comes after days of threats by Trump to use military force to seize the autonomous Danish territory. NATO too said it is discussing next steps to maintain security in the Arctic, while European Union countries are considering invoking the Mutual Defence Clause of the EU treaty.
Diplomacy has intensified in the Arctic Circle amid Trump's warning of taking control over Greenland and autonomous territory of Denmark. In a high-stakes attempt to lower the temperature, Danish Foreign Minister Lars Rasmussen and Greenlandic counterpart Vivian will meet US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington on Wednesday. Meanwhile, taking a stricter stand, Greenland Prime Minister has categorically ruled out joining the US and said the Arctic territory prefers to be in a union with Denmark. He is now suggesting putting independence plans on the back burner for now.
Greenland does not want to be owned by the USA. Greenland does not want to be governed by the USA. Greenland will not be part of the USA. We choose the Greenland we know today, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Now we are faced with a geopolitical crisis. And if we have to choose between the USA and Denmark here and now, we choose Denmark. We choose NATO. We choose the Kingdom of Denmark. We choose the EU. This is not the time for internal discussion and division. This is the time to stand together and build on the community we know and we want.
The sentiment was echoed by his Danish counterpart, while Trump strongly dismissed the remarks.
Det har ikke været nemt.
This is not just about Greenland or the kingdom. It is about not being able to change borders by force, not being able to buy another people, and it is about small countries not having to fear big countries. That is why we are clearly speaking out, and that is why many allies are doing the same, in the Nordic countries, in Europe, and in the rest of the world.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with them. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a problem for him.
Meanwhile, German Foreign Minister has said that both Greenland and Denmark should decide the future of the island.
He should rather focus.
Residents in Greenland's capital have also expressed support for remaining part of Denmark. Trump's administration has repeatedly claimed Greenland's strategic importance to US national security. While Denmark has ruled Greenland for centuries, the territory has gradually been moving towards independence since 1979. Denmark now faces growing pressure to bolster Arctic defenses to counter geopolitical tensions. Danish Defence Minister plans to meet NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte in Brussels next week, with multinational NATO exercises in Greenland scheduled by 2026. Bureau Report, DD India.
Meanwhile, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said on Wednesday that it will open a consulate in Greenland on February 6, a move that had been planned since last year. And to talk more on this, I'm joined by DW correspondent Stephen Beardsley from Berlin. Hi, Stephen. What can we expect from the meetings today?
Yeah, I think what we're going to expect from the Danish and the Greenlandic side is what we saw earlier this week from the German side. The German foreign minister also visited Marco Rubio. He came away reassured there, but he also delivered the message that Greenland has the right to decide the fate of the territory itself. Now, depending on how receptive the American audience is to that, there could even be more constructive talks. We could imagine talks about NATO, the role that it might play on the territory, and that EU members might play in terms of producing more Arctic military resources, devoting more funds towards that issue in an effort to calm the US administration about their concerns. The real question here is what the US side is going to come prepared to do. What message that they have and what answers are they willing to accept from the Danish and the Greenlandic foreign ministers. What's interesting is this was initially a meeting scheduled to take place with Marco Rubio at the foreign minister level on the Danish side, the Greenlandic side, and the US, all foreign ministers. And then Vice President J.D. Vance decided to join this meeting, and he's now hosting it. So we know again that whereas Marco Rubio has tried to calm tensions around this issue, especially around the aspect of a possible military intervention, we know that Vance represents the much more bombastic Trump-like side. And he's also been very dismissive of Europe in the past. So this is where there is a question of how this is going to look, as well as whether there might potentially be the danger of a Zelensky moment in the sense that there's a kind of press conference around this that could get awkward for all sides.
Also, Stephen, we want to know from you, what's at stake for Europe in these discussions?
Yeah, from the perspective here in Berlin, also in Paris and other European capitals, you have to keep in mind that the past year has been incredibly damaging for the US-European relationship. If you look at the tariffs that have come into place, for example, if you look at the kind of contemptuous language that the US has used when talking about Europe, and it's wading into domestic politics, and then including just a few months ago, we had this national security strategy released by the US administration, which it warned that Europe was facing a civilizational erasure if it didn't overhaul its migration rules. So this kind of contempt with which the Trump administration has looked at at Europe and the EU, and especially a lot of that embodied not just in Trump, but especially in J.D. Vance. That's really become felt here over the past year. This issue over Greenland is seen as potentially more explosive because it cuts to the heart of NATO and the alliance between the US and Europe. So if there is any kind of military action, if there is any kind of coerced sale, then that really undermines the idea of an alliance between both sides. That would come at a time when Russia has rearmed, and there are a lot of concerns over here about those tensions with Russia. Finally, Europe also very concerned about what sway it has generally in the world, in a world dominated by major players like the US, like China. Right now, just look at Iran, the protests going on there, the promise or the kind of suggestion of US intervention coming up. The EU, meanwhile, an advisor or an observer there, and not really an advisor, which it would prefer to be in those kind of cases.
Stephen, also, is there a way out of the current situation without critically damaging the relationship between the US and Europe?
It obviously depends on the will of both sides. And we know from the past that there are constructive diplomatic solutions in these kinds of impasses. In fact, I spoke last week with one of the ministers from Greenland, the mining minister, Naya Nathanielsen, and interviewing her, she said, look, there are constructive solutions here. There is collaboration that we would like to pursue. We see ourselves as Greenland within the sphere of US interests. We understand that that is our role. We're taking steps to reduce, if not completely exclude, investment from Russia, from China, from those who are considered foes of the US. She said, however, there has to be mutual respect, and that's what Greenland isn't feeling right now. And so I think that speaks to the kind of rupture that's standing in front of both of these regions right now if something isn't done, and that's the danger here. So this is a relationship that has been damaged significantly over the past year. The question is if it's going to be ruptured almost completely.
All right, well, with that, thank you for getting us the updates on that story. Moving on, a rare show of unity from the world's top central bankers has put the US Federal Reserve at the center of a growing political storm as President Donald Trump renews pressure on Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. Global financial leaders are warning that the independence of central banks, a pillar of economic stability, is under threat, as a report by DD India's Harshita Oberoi.
Top central bank chiefs from across the world have rallied firmly behind the US Federal Reserve and its chair, Jerome Powell, warning that protecting central bank independence is essential for economic stability. The statement, backed by heavyweight figures including European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde and Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey, praised Powell's integrity and his commitment to the public interest. Their joint statement came after an unprecedented move by US prosecutors who issued subpoenas threatening criminal charges against Powell, a step widely seen as a dramatic escalation of President Donald Trump's campaign against the Fed. US President Donald Trump, however, kept up his criticism. On Tuesday, he again demanded that Powell lower borrowing costs after government data showed consumer prices rose 2.7% in December from a year earlier. Trump also repeated accusations of wrongdoing over the costly renovation of the Fed's Washington headquarters.
The inflation numbers just came out, and we have very low inflation, so that would give Too-Late Powell the chance to give us a nice, beautiful, big rate cut, which would be great. Well, he's billions of dollars over budget, so he either is incompetent or he's crooked. I don't know what he is, but he certainly doesn't do a very good job.
The pressure campaign has triggered concern across financial and political circles. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon warned that political interference with the Fed could have damaging consequences. Former Federal Reserve chiefs and several Republican senators also condemned the investigation, calling it an attack on the Fed's independence. But President Trump brushed aside that criticism. He argued the Fed was mismanaged and reiterated call for lower interest rates. Harshita Oberoi for DD India.
Shifting focus now, a train travelling from Thailand's capital to the country's northeast was derailed on Wednesday after a construction crane fell on top of one of its garages, killing at least 25 people and injuring about 80. The incident occurred on Wednesday at around 0200 GMT when a crane being used to rebuild the high-speed rail network fell onto a passenger train in Nakhon Ratchasima, northeast of the capital Bangkok. Crane collapsed and hit the passing train, causing it to derail and briefly catch fire. Rescue operation is underway. Transport Minister said 195 people were on board the train. An INSV Kaundinya docked in Muscat on Wednesday as it completes its journey from Gujarat's Porbandar to Oman. INSV Kaundinya is a recreation of a 5th century Indian ship using the ancient stitching technique. The ship departed from Gujarat's Porbandar on 29 December 2025. This initiative is expected to significantly improve bilateral relations between India and Oman by strengthening their shared maritime heritage and promoting cultural and people-to-people ties. President Draupadi Murmu on Wednesday received credentials from the Ambassador of the United States to India, Sergio Gore, at Rashtrapati Bhavan. With this, Ambassador Gore formally became the 27th United States Ambassador to India. President Murmu also accepted credentials from Chandra Dat Singh, High Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago, and Robert Zisk, Ambassador of Austria. The ceremony marked the formal accreditation of the envoys to India. And the nation is celebrating Pongal, a 4-day harvest festival which began on Tuesday, reflecting unity, tradition and joy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today attended the Pongal celebrations at the residence of Union Minister of State L. Murugan in New Delhi. Here's a report.
Bharat is rejoicing in festivities. Pongal, Bihu and Makar Sankranti are being celebrated with immense joy across different parts of the country. While the forms of celebration may vary, the spirit remains the same. In the southern part of the country, the 4-day Pongal celebrations are underway. This festival honors the sun, Mother Nature, and the farm animals that contribute to a bountiful harvest. These celebrations have also reached the nation's capital, where people in traditional attire are marking this auspicious occasion with great fervour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the Pongal celebrations at Minister of State, Information and Broadcasting L. Murugan's residence in Delhi. While addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister said that Pongal has today become a global festival. He added that people connected with the Tamil community and Tamil culture celebrate this festival with great enthusiasm and said he is one among them.
तमिल संस्कृति दुनिया की सबसे प्राचीन जीवित सभ्यताओं में से एक है। तमिल संस्कृति सदियों को जोड़ती है। वो इतिहास से सीखकर वर्तमान को आगे का रास्ता दिखाती है। इसी प्रेरणा से आज का भारत अपनी जड़ों से शक्ति लेकर नई संभावनाओं की ओर आगे बढ़ रहा है।
PM Modi also highlighted the central government's continuous efforts to empower farmers and praised initiatives like Mission Life and Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam.
मैं एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत की जिस भावना की बात करता हूं, उसे पोंगल जैसे पर्व और सशक्त बनाते हैं। पोंगल का त्योहार हमें प्रेरित करता है कि प्रकृति के प्रति आभार केवल शब्दों तक सीमित न रहे, उसे हम जीवन शैली का हिस्सा बनाएं। जब ये धरती हमें इतना कुछ देती है, उसे संजोने का दायित्व भी हमारा है। अगली पीढ़ी के लिए मिट्टी को स्वस्थ रखना, पानी को बचाना और संसाधनों का संतुलित उपयोग करना सबसे जरूरी है। मिशन लाइफ, एक पेड़ मां के नाम, अमृत सरोवर जैसे हमारा अभियान इसी भावना को आगे बढ़ाते हैं।
The Prime Minister witnessed cultural performances reflecting the rich legacy of Tamil culture. Several eminent personalities also attended the event, commending PM Modi's visionary leadership.
We are extremely delighted Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has chosen to celebrate Pongal in Delhi for the last many years.
Happy Pongal to everyone. Pongal is a festival which we always look forward to because for us it's a beginning of a new year. That's what we look at. All good things starts from the first festival of Tamil.
So happy to be here and to celebrate Pongal along with the Honorable Prime Minister ji. Because every year he makes it a point to attend Pongal because Pongal is a very big festival not only in the south, it's a harvest festival, it's for the farmers.
Pongal, Bihu, Makar Sankranti, different names, but yet the same boundless enthusiasm. From east to west, north to south, India comes alive with celebrations, radiating joy and fervour. These celebrations, these festivals, not only reflect India's rich cultural legacy, but also beautifully embody the spirit of unity in diversity. With camera person Uttam Singh, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in New Delhi.
And Danish Ambassador to India Rasmus Abelgaard Christensen has underscored the importance of strong global cooperation in addressing the growing challenges of climate change. He lauded Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership in advancing renewable energy initiatives and accelerating India's clean energy transition. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
Joining me is Denmark's ambassador to India, sir. It's a pleasure to have you with us. We spoke about India and Denmark working closely jointly in terms of environment, energy. Can you tell us how Denmark is going to help India?
Denmark and India established a green strategic partnership back in 2020, where we have a number of focus areas, strong cooperation within energy, renewable energy, especially integration of renewables and offshore wind. We have some experiences from our own country, our own journey, both in terms of transitioning our energy system, but more generally also caring, if you like, for the environment.
India also is a part of the International Solar Alliance. Exactly. We have been talking about shifting our energy requirement from fossil fuel to renewable energy. Nordic countries, especially Denmark, is a leader in that. How that's something that the technological transfer, we talk about energy requirement, how that's going to be a major concern.
Yes, but India is already doing an exceptional job. As I said, the amount of solar power that your country has deployed within the last 5 to 10 years is absolutely mind-blowing. So where we can assist is, first of all, for example, in the development of offshore wind, where India actually has great potential, especially in Tamil Nadu, but also in Gujarat. This is something where we have unique experience, so there's no reason for India not to tap into that potential. The second, it has to do with integration of renewables. So although, despite the immense progress India has made already on solar and other forms of renewables, of course, what we will see going forward is that it gets more and more difficult the higher the percentage is in the grid. And there we have some good experience in how to balance the grid system while still having very large amounts of fluctuating energy from solar and wind.
How do you see Prime Minister Modi's leadership in these aspects of renewable energy?
I think it's an exceptional leadership. Prime Minister Modi is also an environmentalist, and I think he understands better than anyone that although India is now the world's fourth biggest economy, the fastest growing big economy, it still has to grow in a way that is sustainable. Again, no need to repeat the mistakes we did many years ago. Yeah.
Much appreciated your time. So that was Denmark's ambassador to India, stating that India and Denmark can work together in renewable energy and other sectors as well. With Campbell's Vishwabandhu, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
And NITI Aayog on Tuesday held a press conference to release the fourth edition of the Export Preparedness Index. CEO of NITI Aayog, BVR Subramaniam, described the report as extremely important, stressing that exports are one of the key drivers of economic growth and are central to India's goal of becoming a Viksit Bharat. He explained that the economy is driven by four major factors: consumption demand, private investment demand, government investment demand and export demand, highlighting the critical role exports play in overall economic development. Bangladesh's former Information and Broadcasting Advisor and close associate of Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus, Mahfouz Alam, has sharply criticized the interim government. He accused it of failing to establish a new political order by relying on and compromising with forces of the old system. Speaking at Dhaka University, Mahfouz said meaningful reform was impossible while the same actors remained in power. He added that the reformist spirit that existed before August 5 had since faded even among reformers themselves. Mahfouz questioned the credibility of the UNIS-led interim administration, claiming he was sidelined during his final 4 months as information advisor. He accused the government of protecting oligarchs and propagandists linked to the old system and said he had severe ties with the National Citizen Party. Now, one battle after another continued its winning streak at the National Board of Review Awards in New York on Tuesday. The film earned acting honours for Benicio del Toro, Leonardo DiCaprio and Chase Infinity, while Paul Thomas Anderson won the Best Director award. Director Ryan Coogler received the Best Original Screenplay award for Sinners, which was also named one of the National Board of Review Top 10 Films of 2025. Best Actress honours went to Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi attended the ceremony to celebrate his Best International Film win for It Was Just an Accident. Wicket for Good, F1 and Jay Kelly also made the organization's list of the year's top 10 films. Virat Kohli's brilliant form has propelled him back to the top of the ICC men's ODI batting rankings for the first time since July 2021. Kohli has claimed the top spot for the 11th time in his illustrious career, riding a run of impressive scores that includes 135, 102 and 65 not out in a home series against South Africa in November, December, as well as a fluent 74 not out against Australia in Sydney in October. The former India captain first reached the summit of the ODI batting rankings in October 2013 and has now spent a total of 825 days at number 1, which is the most by an Indian batter. Kohli displays compatriot Rohit Sharma, who slipped to 3rd spot in the rankings. And KL Rahul's blazing ton helped India post a target of 285 for New Zealand in the second ODI at Rajkot. KL Rahul's unbeaten century has steered India to a challenging total against New Zealand. Earlier in the innings, Indian captain Gill hit his 18th ODI half-century before giving his wicket to Kyle Jamieson. Both Rocco, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli failed to cross the 30-run mark, getting dismissed for 24 and 23 respectively. Kiwi pacer Chris Clark took 3 crucial wickets, which hampered India's hopes to cross 300-run mark. The onus is now on the Indian bowlers to give the host a decisive lead in the series. That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.